Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Leo energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Leo energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Leo energy. Because we all have our dualistic nature and we have to make decisions in our life. And we have our more high vibrational nature that kind of wants us to have hope and faith and belief in ourselves and believe in our dreams and keep growing and healing and maturing and working through our fears and our insecurity and our past pain and heartbreak. And some people are doing that. And some people are still kind of debating, it's a general reading. Everybody's at some place, maybe in the story. Some people have worked through that and they're moving forward in life a little differently than they had been living life before. The bottom row can just represent our comfort zone. And some people are maybe still having a hard time getting out of their comfort zone, could have a hard time loving or believing in themselves. And, we have different people in our life that we're kind of hanging out with, kind of based on how we view life. And maybe if we were to move forward in life a little differently, maybe some of the people that are currently in our life don't want to move forward like that. And so, and but the shadowy energy can also represent kind of more shadowy energy within ourselves, in other people in the world. And shadowy Leo can be people who we could feel aren't really being authentic, uh, might operate more from their pride and ego or defensive nature, might be full of themselves, might be manipulative. High vibe energy is being authentic, being honest, being loving, being warm, being encouraging and supportive. And for some people, that's just not the truth of who they are. you know, Shadowy energy can be people who are just more about themselves. And some people could be more about things of the world instead of love. They could want to go indulge in things to feel better instead of doing love. They could want to make their life more about themselves than love, or about money or materialism or status and image. You know, Leo is fire sign energy. It's kind of what we're motivated and inspired by. And people are going to go invest their time, energy, and effort into kind of what they're motivated and inspired by at the moment, or influenced and manipulated by their own shadow nature, which can just be their more immature nature and fears and things like that. And then people can be influenced by other people also. So this might be something particular that people right now who might be a Leo sun sign or have significant Leo placements in their chart might deal with. But we all tap into Leo energy, so, we're either operating more from our worldly egoic nature or our more hopeful believing nature. So listen to your intuition about where you might be in the story and where some other people might be at in the story. So let's go look at the shadow row first. We start out with the Pisces card, which can be about our hopes and our dreams. And up here we have a King of Wands. And life's about learning lessons. In tarot, we have the pages, the knights, the kings, the queens, the emperor, the empress. Sometimes we're at different emotional maturity levels than other people, because the knight would have less life experience than a king, male or female. The masculine figures can represent how we're kind of the action that we're taking in the world and how we're presenting ourselves. But shadowy Pisces can be that anyone can harness, is that people try to create the illusion that they're more mature than they really are. But it's just in their shadow nature, they're just kind of creating an illusion. Because anybody can present themselves any way they want to in the world. And are we going to listen to our intuition about those people? So some people are creating an illusion. Or they're just still in their fire sign energy of themselves. They're just kind of more caught up in themselves and these things of the world, and just might have illusions about what it means to work together with other people. They got some growing up to do. Some people like to be in relationships with people who are stressed out in the Nine of Swords, who in the Five of Swords have a lot of mental conflict. You know, because then those people maybe would be willing in the Six of Cups to exchange time, energy, effort, resources, get in a relationship with them, work with them, be their friend. So some people purposely look for people that or that might be more influenced by their pride or their ego or their lust or their greed or something, might be fearful if they're going to have their dreams come into reality and move forward in some way. And so then if this person comes along, it might make that person kind of the fives is that conflicting stage of life. Do I keep moving forward or should I take this offer? Well, we can all have been there, right? And we can all have known people and could have people in our life right now that kind of create the illusion that they want to be our friend or hang out in some way, right? And we've already been kind of moving forward and maybe working through our own fears, insecurities, self limiting beliefs, and stuff like that. And from the Nine of Swords down to the Five of Swords is letting go of the Four of Swords, which can mean that some people who've been on this journey for a while or just working through some of their fears or insecurities or trying to work on getting clear about what their truth is and what their truth isn't and what they think is just and fair and how they want to move forward in life, some of those people have healed. They've kind of worked through some of these illusions that they used to have and these ways of viewing life that at one time they maybe thought was just and fair, because in between the Nine and the Five is letting go of the Four of Swords, which is Libra energy. Some of you could have gotten out of a relationship with a Libra, but it can just be, we get in relationships with these people, all these different people in the world, to kind of see if we work together. What's your idea of what's just and fair? What's my idea of what's just and fair? Um, are you still really stressed out and kind of maybe the shadowy Pisces can be where we kind of indulge ourselves. So some people like to live more from their mind than their heart. And they could have a lot of fears and insecurities, but it makes them feel safe. So they think that will make them happy. And they have a lot of mental conflict about the Six of Pentacles can talk about operating from that foundation, kind of seeing the truth of it, of how that maybe keeps them stuck here and exchanging it to operate from kind of a different foundation. And in between there, they kind of have to work through those issues that cause them fear and insecurity or stress and anxiety, or why they live more from their mind than their heart. Are they going to keep indulging themselves, living more from their mind than their heart? Or are they going to have some hope and faith and belief in themselves? The Six of Wands is Leo energy. And the Six of Wands takes inspired action to leave behind the Five of Wands. All of these things that could cause us inner conflict. Or if we're in relationships right now with people and it seems like there's kind of a problem of things being just and fair, and we might know some people that are really stressed about moving forward in life, being more inspired, maybe to have some hope and faith and belief in themselves and in their dreams. Because the reason for the top rose reading is the Aquarius card, which can talk about how we view life and what our end goals are. And are we more about ourselves? Are we more about the world? Is it more about looking like a shining star in the world? Is that what motivates and drives us in our Leo energy? Is that what motivates and drives some other people? Is that why we want to be in a relationship with them or they want to be in a relationship with us? Are we willing to kind of settle for the worldly illusion and make our life about that? Pisces can be about getting caught up in the worldly illusion. It would seem really great and it would look really maybe victorious and successful, but is that my truth? Is that what I think is just and fair? Will make me feel balanced within myself? Was that my dream? And some people are like, I don't want to live more from my mind than my heart. I don't want to make my life more about me or more about someone else or more about the ego or the image or things I indulge in to make myself feel better. I want to heal. The Four of Swords can be about kind of reflecting on past pain and heartbreak and why you might be more out of balance and live more for your mind than your heart or your fear, your insecurity, or your pride or your ego or whatever. And and you do that work. And that's what some people have done. They got inspired to offer themselves love. I'm going to work through my fears and my insecurities and my past pain and heartbreak and my self-limiting beliefs. The Nine of Swords is Gemini energy of our free will nature. I can choose to live my life and sit in certain thoughts and emotions and do certain things in my life, hang out with certain people. But what's my truth? What do I think is just and fair? What about the people I'm hanging out with? And some people are doing that work. Some people have already done that work. And the fives can talk about change. They work through it. They get to the truth, to see the truth of why they did do certain things in their life, why they have fear of loving and believing in themselves, or they work through whatever it was that was kind of manipulating them. Because the truth sets us free. And some of those people have done that. And they're kind of ready, because that's a masculine figure, which can be about taking action in the world, whether you're male or female. They're ready to kind of take action on their truth. And it might be hard because there's some people in their life, whether they're brother, sister, adult child, parents, friend, coworker. Some of those people aren't ready to move forward in that way. They might want to come with, but they might want to come with in that energy. Can't I come with you anyway? Can't I still emotionally invest more in living more from my mind than my heart? Can't I skip the healing process and just take all my mental conflict that I have and my inner conflict and just move forward with you anyway? Well, high vibe people want to be in relationships with other people who have worked through those things to be inspired, to have some hope and faith and belief in themselves and in others and believe in themselves and look at life from a higher perspective and have some hope and faith and belief in love. And some of those people are, high vibe energies like wishing people peace. And we can be in relationships with people and we can be loving and encouraging to people, but we can't make other people heal. We can't make them look at those things that they might want to keep hidden in the dark, they don't want to deal with. Well, it affects them and it affects the decisions that they make in their life. And some of those people don't want to invest in high vibe Gemini energy, which is love. I have mental conflict with that. I decided not to invest in that, and instead, I chose to invest in aligning with my more worldly nature, egoic nature, defensive nature. I don't think I have to do that. And I think everything will be fine. And they could look at some people in their life who did work through some of their fears or insecurities or self-limiting beliefs. Just like people who have hope and faith and belief in love and in themselves and believe they have more to work with than just the things of the world, because it's kind of like the hidden realm. We have our creative nature, our inspired nature, our intellect, our ingenuity, our perseverance. And some people kind of discredit those things. No, no, no. You got to work with these things of the world. Those are the real things you need to work with. And then some of those people have mental conflict about, fire sign energy can be listening to your more creative, inspired, intuitive nature. No, 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 no. No, I think I'm so smart. That's like shadowy air sign energy that we can all tap into, which is Gemini and Libra and Aquarius. No, no, no. No, no, no. Not gonna do love, not gonna listen to my intuition. That could just get me in trouble. I'm just gonna keep moving forward, viewing life from my perspective. I'm gonna make it more about me, more about my defensive nature, more about these things. And I think I will move forward victorious and successful. And in a lot of ways, they can move forward victoriously and successfully in the world. They could end up with a lot of status, image, social clout, uh, really victorious at indulging in those things that they make their life about. That if they think, look at me, I'm living the dream, well, they could think they got it going on. But some other people in their life could have some mental conflict about continuing to move forward with them being in that energy and viewpoint of life and being motivated and inspired more by those things. And some people in their life right now are like, I love you, but I don't want to keep moving forward like this. Something needs to change. And some of the people that are in friendships or relationships are like, I don't have a problem with it. You should keep moving forward with me and we should keep doing this. And some people in their life are like, in a lot of ways, that would look maybe victorious and successful in a lot of ways. Like I would have maybe all of these things that the world would tell me should make me happy, but I've already kind of found out that it doesn't make me happy. Again, because if one person harnesses this energy in a more high vibe way, they have worked through some of the things that used to manipulate them, or they've grown or healed or matured, or they're more balanced within themselves. And the other people could be tipped out of balance where their fear, their immaturity, their pride, their ego, their stubborn nature has to be more about them nature, you know? And the other people are like, I'd like to move forward with you, but I can't. We seem to be inspired by different things. That's the Six of Wands. In the Six of Pentacles, in Taurus energy, we kind of have different philosophies of life. Kind of what drives and motivates us is different. And again, the sixes can talk about balance. And other people, again, can be tipped out of balance because they like to, again, maybe not take more creative, inspired action in their life. Have fear of doing more equal give and take in a relationship because we can all think it's just and fair. Well, I'm afraid of doing equal give and take. I kind of like it more about me. I invest more in me, and I think other people should invest more in me, or my immature ways, or my prideful ways, or my defensive ways. And if I look victorious and successful, or I'm attractive, or I'm charming, or I have social clout, or I look like a shining star, or I'm attractive, I think you should just stay in a relationship with me. And some people are like, that's not enough. And some people, because of maybe some of these things that manipulate them, or their fear, or their insecurities, or their past pain and heartbreak, or whatever, they could have done some things in a relationship. When they had Gemini again talks about our free will, we have the free will to be in high vibe Leo energy of being, and Aquarius, to look at life from a higher perspective and not get so caught up in our head and our fears and our defensive nature and our ego and our self-centered nature and our more immature nature. But that does, for some people, that would require them to heal or grow up, get out of their ego, get out of their head. And instead, some of those people decided, made the free will choice, I could do that, but I'm not gonna. And they could have kind of gotten an energy about them. The Five of Swords can talk about people who kind of come across like they want to win at all costs. And you should do what they say and do it the way they want you to do it. And that's It's kind of an immature way of going about things, right? But for some people, that's worked for them in the past. Other people could have decided, I'm going to take action more out of pride and ego. There's an idea. I don't think this person loves and believes in themselves enough. I think if they're not doing things the way I want, I'm going to go take some action more out of pride and ego, move and spend my time and attention on other people, my friends, my family, whatever, to show them kind of like because shadowy Aquarius, which is the reason why this reading came out for the high vibe people, is some people think I'm kind of the star of the show. I'm the one who makes this all work. And apparently, some of these shadowy people could have been kind of full of themselves. Because shadowy energy can be, I'm kind of more the person who is the star of the show here. And everybody else should put aside their pride and ego, but not me. So some people were kind of full of themselves. And some people just thought, when I get stressed and instead of offering love to the situation, I turn my back on love and I can turn my back on the loving people in my life. I have a lot of mental conflict. And then in my Taurus energy, which is kind of our Supreme Court in our own head of what we think is right and wrong and just and fair, they side more with, I'm going to act in my pride and ego, or I'm going to try to manipulate that person to get them to do what I want. And some of the people in their life saw the truth of it, and they were saying, you're not being just and fair. You seem to be kind of full of yourself, or I feel like you're trying to manipulate me. I wanted this dream to come into reality. I thought you did too. But apparently, I don't know, willing to sacrifice truth and justice and fairness. And then sometimes that's when you see that we've kind of come to the end of the road. And sometimes you can be in relationships with people for a really long time. And there's a lot of things the Nine of Swords can talk about. There's all these different things to work through in a relationship. And that can take a long time to work through some of those things. And some of those things took more priority. And we could have had love for each other. We could have been attracted to each other, wanting to move forward in relationship. And we move forward in relationship. But then maybe more as time goes by, we can start to have some mental conflict because we kind of see how we want to keep moving forward at some point in time. It's kind of a little different than how the other people want to move forward, and we could kind of end up seeing the truth of what really more ultimately drives and motivates them, kind of at a core foundational level, which initially we could have been caught up in the illusion of people and again, attracted to people. But then as time goes by, we can really kind of get more clear about what really drives and motivates them. And initially, when we kind of notice that, and some people might be at that stage of the story where, they're starting to see it and it's causing them some mental conflict. And, this can happen. Taurus energy of the Six of Pentacles can represent all these different institutions. People can be experiencing it with their friends, their family members, people in their workplace. I thought we were both excited to bring this dream into reality. One person or some people thought everybody's motivated and inspired to put work and effort to bring this dream into reality. And then as time goes by, you kind of realize that someone kind of indulges themselves in some way. And it's like, are you coming? Are we going to do this? And they're like, I kind of have my own ideas of what I think is just and fair. And now that I got in the job or the friendship or the relationship, uh, maybe I just wanted a job and I'm good staying right here. Well, if someone hired someone for a certain position that works out for them to stay in that position, that would be fine. But if the intention was, well, no, you were supposed to like learn other things and then someone else was going to take that job and you were going to move forward in this job. And they're like, I might want that job, but I want the job to be given to me. And maybe I could find other people to do that work and I can just kind of indulge myself in my ego. And it's just like people can get in relationships and some people think, oh, it's going to move forward like this. And the other people are like, how about we just keep doing this? And it's like, well, I thought the long-term goal was to kind of move forward, that we'd all kind of work through our fears and our insecurities. That's kind of up here. We have the death card to the Eight of Swords. We work through those issues. Let's get out of our head to be more independent in the Nine of Pentacles from the past, work through our fears and our insecurities and past pain and heartbreak and detaching from the past. And, in Gemini energy, both the 8 and the 9 is Gemini energy. Life's about making these choices. Are we moving forward or are you still not sure if you want to move forward? And some people could be in that situation right now. And then people have mental conflict about becoming, the Nine of Pentacles can talk about becoming independent of some people in their life that they either see or don't seem to put in the work and effort to move this forward, or you're not learning more lessons, because from the 6 to the 9 would be adding 3 pentacles, which can be learning things. So if it's a job, it's like, you seem to maybe do okay at this job, and I kind of get the feeling this is how you want to keep moving forward. But when some people hired people for a job, and so you can kind of correlate that in a way to a relationship, I thought you were going to kind of heal and grow and mature yourself and temper your ego. And up here we have the King of Wands, which also fire sign energy, where people can maybe be a little bit more about themselves or bossy or controlling. And again, that's when people are like, you gave the impression that you had worked through Scorpio's emotional water sign energy, that you had emotionally worked through some of those issues from your past to not be up in your head about those things anymore, that you had healed and you were ready to exchange that to move forward in this, and that you were independent of that and we could move forward to bring a dream into reality. Well, then one person is trying to bring the dream into reality, and the other person seems to kind of, in a way, not be interested. Let's do this. Let's keep doing this. And it's like, and that's when some people have to work through their own fears and insecurities and kind of figure out, am I willing to keep moving forward in it like that? And just like an employer with an employee has to do that. If they're not willing or not capable of taking and moving up in a position that I had wanted them, because maybe that's how in that job or employer things work. But some people purposely got hired for a bigger position, but they don't seem to ever get even maybe barely function at doing the job that they are doing. Do I let them stay in that job and I hire someone else? And for people in relationships, it's like, I don't want to stay in a relationship where someone is just, doesn't seem to maybe, where you could just kind of feel someone's more indulging in it. Now, sometimes we're on the same page and our dream of how we want it to move forward, if we're in agreement on that dream and we're still taking time and working through issues so that we can all become kind of more independent of it and in the Six of Pentacles get more balance within ourselves, then we've kind of worked through our each of us some of our more shadowy fears and insecurities, and then we kind of go to the next level of the relationship, and then it's kind of more, am I really ready to kind of become independent of some other choices that I had to really put work and effort to bring that dream into reality. And some people are at that stage. So I would say the people that feel like they're on the same page and they're doing this work within themselves and together in workplaces, friendships, and relationships, the people who are doing that work together, those people are gonna just kind of keep moving forward, continue to grow and heal and mature themselves, and believing in themselves and believing in their dreams, and they're being loving and encouraging and supportive people to each other. And sometimes we're the one that has more mental conflict and some fears that come up. Sometimes it's the other people. And that's what loving and encouraging people do, you know? But if there's some people that we've been loving and encouraging to, and they just seem to really have a lot of mental conflict about kind of tempering their ego or their fear or wanting to be indulged, or they're maybe kind of, again, the Six of Wands leaves behind the Five of Wands. They can be people who are just kind of more immature, more competitive, um, could be aligned with the competition. Sometimes we're in relationships with people, and some people are motivated and inspired, like I say, to kind of do equal give and take in a relationship. And some people are like, well, I like you to view me that way, but I'm really kind of competitive. And if you've been in a relationship with someone like that, you kind of become the person that you become the opponent that they're trying to defeat or build their ego off of. I'm better at this, and or critical, and you did that wrong. And it's like, oh my gosh, I could be in workplaces where people want to treat me like that, but I would like to be in an environment where I can accept you do things better than me. Is there something wrong if I just happen have my own unique thing that I might do a little better at that than you? Must it always be a competition? How about you excel where you excel and I might excel in a different area, you know? But some people, in order to keep, if they're shadowy, they want people to keep kind of being up in their head. And they could try to manipulate them. They could try to intimidate them. They could try to belittle or diminish them because they don't want those people in their life to really love and believe in themselves, because then those people probably wouldn't stay in a relationship with them. And if some people right now are doing some work within themselves to work through some of their fears and insecurities, inspired to put an end to being up in their head, and they've been moving forward with some people in their life who want them to keep moving forward with them and live life like them and be inspired by what they're inspired or make it more about them. Some people right now are doing some work within themselves to heal and to appreciate themselves and what they bring to the table and love and value themselves, and see how some people in their life maybe don't seem to appreciate them and kind of think it should be more about them or a little full of themselves. And if the people in their life are starting to sense that you seem to not be up in your head as much as you used to be, like Here we go from the 9, then we go down to the 5, which can be putting less work and effort to kind of heal a relationship with some kind of shadowy people in your life. And then you get inspired from the 5 to the 8 to take back the 3 of Swords, of working through some pain and heartbreak and self-limiting beliefs and whatever it could be, to not let those things have you up in your head anymore. And then in the 9 of Pentacles, where you've kind of freed yourself from some of those things, and you're kind of back to being inspired to loving and believing in yourself and standing up for yourself. That can be the King of Wands. I'm no longer going to be up in my head about some shit. If there's some people in my life that are doing some stuff where before that got me all up in my head, that got me in my ego, that caused me inner conflict. Why are they acting like that? Why are they hanging out with those people more? It's just kind of really seeing the truth of it, that everybody has free will to act how they want to act and do what they want to do. And then it can be kind of seeing the truth of what they want to do and how they want to act and who they want to hang out with or invest their time, energy, and effort into. And instead of maybe being up in my head about it, why don't I kind of look at if their truth is really my truth, and if what we think is just and fair is the same. My dream can only come into reality with people whose truth is really the same. If you're someone motivated and inspired by love, but sometimes loving people can try to inspire other people to change. Oh, look at me. I'm loving and encouraging and inspiring. I'm going to offer you love. Come on, do this work. You change. Let's move forward. And sometimes we don't want to see the truth that if they wanted to live their life differently, or temper their ego, or temper their fear, or temper their worldly nature, or whatever, and were motivated and inspired to work through whatever it is that manipulates them, they wouldn't be the person that they are. And they wouldn't have been that type of person when we got in a relationship with them. But if a loving person is always more about getting in relationship with other people, like, oh, I'm going to love and encourage them to change, it kind of stops us. I mean, we do learn lessons, patience, love, encouragement, but we're kind of not wanting to deal with the truth that we could have gotten in these more mismatched relationships. How those people want to live their life and are comfortable living their life, and they have the free will to think, feel, be defensive, be egotistical, be materialistic, be immature. They have the free will to do that. Do we have a mental conflict in seeing the truth of that? Quit trying to change people. But if we get in a relationship with someone else who is kind of on the same page as us, then that's going to challenge us to grow. Because now we're, you can kind of see where that, and I never would have thought this before I did tarot, that it can be a little bit of being in your ego, because it's like, oh, well, they need to change. Yeah, I know they're immature. Yeah, they look at what they do and look at how they act. And sometimes it can kind of be a little bit of a martyr complex, and it's how we kind of build our self-esteem off of kind of how shadowy someone else is, and like, look how much better I am than them or something. But why don't we get in relationships with people? And part of it can be, we could used to being in relationships with people who don't. You could be a very loving, giving, nurturing person, but you're not used to really being in relationships with people who treat you that way. So the bottom row can represent repeating an old pattern, and we'll keep repeating an old pattern over and over until we're willing to see the truth. And it's like, why do I do this? Do I think I deserve to be treated? The 6 of Pentacles can talk about an equal give and take. Do I want to be in relationships with people who are more authentic and inspiring and loving? Why am I not in relationships with people like that? Why do I keep doing this? And we kind of have to work through kind of that philosophy of life that we had. Why do I do what I do? Why don't I do what I'd like to do? And then, the fact is that, that can be out of our comfort zone. And again, we all like to stay in our comfort zones. Like, well, this is different. I'm not used to being in a relationship where, it kind of challenges me to grow and mature. And that's why some people, if you did that work within you and you kind of learned to love and believe in yourself, some people and some of the people in your life that you could have communicated with as you were moving forward, they're like, no, you can go. I think I'll go find me someone either who doesn't know the truth of who I am, because they kind of create an illusion about the type of person they are, or I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's more independent, shadowy, rogue, can just represent. I like to be in a relationship with people who are more codependent. Oh, do you got some fears and insecurities and you don't know the truth of who I am? I'll exchange resources with you in a relationship, male or female. But eventually you might find out that I like it to be a little bit more about me. And I kind of like you being more immature or more codependent or more fearful or in your mental conflict. And if you ever work through those issues and become more independent, I'm not going to want to be in a relationship with you anymore. And I'll go find someone else to go repeat this pattern with. Another story that could be in here is that at any point in time in our life when we're moving forward in life, are we willing to say, I think the way I'm moving forward in my life, wait a minute, whoa, wait. There can be people right now moving forward in something, and maybe they, again, could have met someone, been attracted to someone, maybe something else hadn't worked out, a little bit up in their head. The other person could have been a little bit up in their head. But, we're single. We want to be in friendships and relationships with people, or we wanted a new job. And so we're moving forward in it. And then those people could be starting to see some of these things and they're like, oh shit, I don't know if I should keep moving forward with this. Because I could see these things that, by worldly standards, it would look good. I could keep moving forward in it. I could, though, know that it's maybe really not my truth and what I love, just like, taking a job and putting in work. And, of course, they want you to stay there a long time, which can happen in relationships. They want you to stay there a long time. And you're kind of like, I was willing to see how things went. But now, maybe as more time goes by, I'm thinking this isn't my truth in my Gemini energy. And some people could be really stressed out. And some of the people in their life might be wondering what's going on. And people could be Leo energy, also represented by the sun. And the King of Wands taking action and speaking their truth that I don't think this is my truth. And hopefully if, that's always hard when people, can I think you're great? Can I think you're, and can everybody think each other's kind of supportive and encouraging? But, is it really at a core foundational level aligned with our truth? And that can be all sorts of things, where you want to live, where I want to live, what you view as the idea of kind of all these things we should go invest our time, energy, and effort into, and things that we enjoy. I kind of did those things, but really that isn't my kind of truth, and that's not who I really am. And maybe I thought I would like those things more as time went by, but if I feel like I'm kind of wearing a false mask and this isn't my truth, sometimes we got to let some other people go. So it's a hodgepodge, but generally in people's Leo energy, they're either, in a world of duality, they're either a little bit more motivated by about being about themselves, and if they think there's someone they could get in a relationship with that would more indulge them, uh, more fearful or codependent, or has more money or status or image, a shadowy Taurus type person, which can be anybody, I'll exchange this to go pursue that. And some people will just hide that the whole reason why they're taking the action that they're taking. Could they be in great relationships with people? Yeah, but that person is more independent. They require me to be more just and fair and balanced. And really, that's not the truth of who I am. And I kind of don't like having to maintain balance because I am more tipped in favor of being about me or my ego, or I am more materialistic, and or I like to be more indulged or something. I'm going to go get in a relationship with someone else. And I think for those people who take that action, if they're not listening to their intuition and they're living more from their mind than their heart, they're not kind of seeing things clearly, because our lust and our greed and our pride and our ego and our immature nature and all that kind of stuff kind of clouds our judgment. And some of those people might pop up in some people's life. For some of you, that might be you. And the person they go approach has kind of learned these lessons in life. They do know their worth and value. People might think they're more caught up in their head than they are. And these people have really changed. The death card can mean that, you're not the same person you used to be. You do look at life differently. Both the Five of Swords and the Star card are Aquarius energy. I'm not the same person I used to be. Did I used to be more tempted in my worldly nature, my immature nature, my fear, my insecurity, all these things, my lust, my greed? Yeah, but now I've learned to stand up for myself. I've grown and healed and matured. So now I'm standing up. I do not want to move forward in something that's more in shadowy Scorpio energy, emotionally shallow and superficial. And I don't want to move forward with other people in that energy. I don't want to move forward with people who still live more from their mind than their heart. And I think you'll just stand up for yourself and what you believe in. Again, you can get to know people, be encouraging, but is this moving forward? This is going nowhere until the high vibe people, by listening, in high vibe, the Eight of Swords is staying focused, like on truth and love and their intuition to guide them. And if their intuition tells them that anybody they meet as they're moving forward, or anyone who approaches them, you know what? I think you're not someone who lives more from your mind than your heart. I don't think you're more about yourself or your ego, or you're more not as immature, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then, you would together move forward in relationship to get to know each other and find out if you think you're people that you can have your dream come into reality with. And the people who approach you and your intuition tells you, no, I think you're operating out of pride and ego, or you're mad that something else didn't work out, but you're maybe trying to get in a relationship with me to manipulate those people, or you are more prideful or egotistical or materialistic, and it'd be good for your ego or your image or your status, or just want to indulge in a relationship. It's not going to be me. And though it might be difficult, you're going to listen to truth and love. You didn't listen to it before, and you had to learn some really hard lessons. And and I think our intuition, which kind of makes, I suppose that can be Gemini too, but I kind of think of it more with the fire sign energy. We were given our intuition, but we have a lot of problem as human beings because we think we're so smart. Shadowy King of Wands, we kind of think, I got this, God. Yeah, I can change these people. Thinking we're the boss, and pride comes before the fall. And we had to learn these hard lessons in life. It's like, I'm not repeating that old pattern. If people seem to have similar ways of viewing life, living life, just kind of a more immature way of viewing life in a way, which we've all been there, and there's people that look at us still as being immature and unenlightened because they're more mature and more enlightened than we are. Um, but we're looking for people who are kind of on the same page as us at the same time. And if there's some people that you were hoping would come towards you, you could have communicated with some people, and if some people aren't doing that, you're working through all of this within yourself to accept the truth, to heal, to let the past go, know your worth and value, keep moving forward, let go of that old foundation, because again, we can only have our dreams come into reality. It's not codependent on a certain person. We need to be in relationship with people who are on the same page at the same time we are, and they have to be willing to invest in us. And high vibe people are requiring that people invest in them emotionally, authentically. And for some people, they're like, that's too scary. I'm not doing that. You're too free of your more codependent or lustful, greedy, whatever nature. I'm not there yet. So then the divine has a plan for your life. But you have to get out of your own inner conflict about, just let other people live their life, make their decisions, and in the meantime, keep moving forward, knowing your worth and value, and putting in work and effort with your job, with your friends, enjoying your life, growing and healing and maturing yourself, investing in your own unique talent, skills, and interests that are all part of that dream. And assume, if you are in a relationship and it's a different job that you're looking for, you keep growing and healing and investing and learning things, and believe that in time you will have the qualifications that maybe before you didn't to get that kind of job that you wanted. But high vibe people are done trying to change people, done staying in denial of the truth about kind of what drives and motivates people and who's more immature or more about themselves. And they're doing the work by offering love to it to get out of their head about it and to heal and become independent of whatever the past could have been. And they're detaching from that foundation. And the death card and the nines can talk about closing out a cycle to go have a new beginning. And that's where your dreams can come into reality. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Leo energy that they might not see coming up? And I think as you do that, taking action in this way, you are looking very stable, abundant, loving of yourself, someone who believes in themselves, believes in their dreams. Because everybody knows that you could take more immature action in your life or go indulge in some things to make yourself feel better. But you know that those things aren't going to get you moving in the direction that you want to be in. And you've probably already been there and done that before in your life. And it's like, no, I'm going to stay focused on loving and believing in myself, focused on my dreams, kind of high vibe Taurus. I'm going to walk the talk. Because if I want to be in a relationship with people who are living their life like that, I need to be in that energy. And I think other people will see that you are in that energy. And for some of you, as you're moving forward, that's when you will meet, when we quit exchanging time, energy, and effort with the people in our life who've shown us that's not their truth, or they don't want to be just and fair, they don't want to change, they're more motivated more to keep living life the way they want to live it. When you start moving forward, that's when your dreams can come into reality, you know? But again, you can meet other people who's like, stop right there. I want to be the next person to indulge in a friendship or relationship with you. And some of those people, again, you're going to listen to your intuition. Some of those people you're going to go on by. No, thank you. I don't think we're on the same page. And other people will. So what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Leo energy that they might not see coming up? Okay, we got 5 cards not showing themselves. The reason it came out is because of the Ace of Wands. So, because you were inspired to do this work within yourself, and the Scorpio Death card, again, emotional water sign energy, it takes a lot of work to free yourself from the fears, the insecurities, the past pain and heartbreak, to accept the truth, to stand up for what you believe in. It's a process. But because you were inspired to do that, again, the 1 wand comes after the 10 of wands, which is closing out a cycle. You work through it all from the 6 of wands to the 10 of wands is taking back the 4 of wands. Somewhere along the way, you could have lost yourself in the 4 of wands. Like I view the King of Wands is Aries energy, and Aries energy is about the self. Somewhere along the way, I kind of maybe gave up on myself, didn't love myself, didn't believe in myself, didn't believe in my dreams, got in some situations that I learned a lot of lessons from. And now that I've learned those lessons and I've worked through it all, I'm dropping the burden and I'm closing out a cycle, and I'm going to go have this new beginning. And some people in your life, there can be people who want to get to know you or get in a relationship with you. And it's to try to figure out, too, how you harness these energies. And as some people get to know you, they're going to realize you don't harness these energies in a more shadowy way. You work through that and you cut out those things or those ways of thinking or feeling and the people in your life that you used to align with when you were in harnessing these in a more shadowy, worldly way. And what some people don't know about you, and some of them are going to find out, that you harness them in a more high vibrational way now. What are they? The Queen of Pentacles, the 5 of Swords, the 6 of Cups, the Hierophant, and the 6 of Cups. So before, maybe you wanted to be in friendships, jobs, and relationships, the King and Queen of Pentacles is also the only married to the deck. And we have a certain philosophy of life, of how we view life. Like, I should do these things, and I should invest in these things, and if I make my life about these things, I'll feel victorious and successful in life. And then you go do it, and there can be a lot of things you do like about it, but you could feel like you could have been in a relationship with people who wanted to keep moving forward with you in a relationship, but they maybe didn't like you loving yourself or being more independent or believing in yourself or believing in your dreams. And that caused you mental conflict. But you could have stayed in those jobs, friendships, or relationships. The 6 of Cups can talk about it's hard to break those patterns. And the 6 of Cups can talk about repeating those past patterns. But it kept causing you mental conflict. And so you were inspired to reconcile yourself with some of these issues from your past about these ways you view yourself and the way you view the world and the way you view relationships, and maybe again of what you think is just and fair in friendships, relationships, and workplaces. And you really kind of thought about your truth and the kind of relationships that you wanted to be in. And you made peace. The Six of Cups can talk about I've made peace with some of these issues from my past. Those things don't manipulate me the way they used to manipulate me. And I invested in healing from the past. And now, kind of, the Hierophant can talk about connecting in with kind of your more high vibrational nature, listening to your intuition, like your higher self to guide you, your more hopeful, believing, loving nature instead of your more fearful nature or whatever. And because of that, it's helping you maintain this balance within yourself and being inspired to keep loving and believing in yourself, being loving and encouraging to others, but no more illusions. And if people are trying to manipulate me or control me or want to be more about themselves or be indulged, no thanks. You can go find someone else to be in a relationship with or friends with. I'm going to keep working with the people in my life who do work together with me in a just and fair way, taking action from truth and love and working together with me in the Six of Cups in this emotionally balanced way. And also, Six of Cups is a deep, meaningful relationship, not a more superficial, shallow, immature relationship. And I think because you're doing that, there's going to be other people, in tarot, they talk about it being energetic, that, why are we drawn and attracted to some people? Sometimes we have no idea why. Um, but your energy would be very high vibe. And so people, high vibe and low vibe, could be attracted to you because of the energy that you're in and how you choose to conduct yourself in the world authentically, being authentic. In high vibe Leo, you're not in more shadowy energy. And I think there's other people that in your life that you probably have people in your life that are still encouraging you to stay in that job, that friendship, and that relationship. And I think as you move forward, because you love and believe in yourself, you don't get caught up more in your fear. You trust your intuition. You put in the work and effort. I think you're going to move forward very successfully, and other people are going to want to be in a relationship with you. And just like some people do, other people could be like, shit, I should have healed. That person looks like their dreams are going to come into reality. Now they look like the person, if I was more about status or ego or image, they would be the person who knew. But shit, now I could have turned my back on those people and I could have been full of myself. And now those people don't want to be in a relationship with me anymore. And then other people are just like, yeah, it is even more clear that you are not the type of person I normally go for. I'm looking for someone who I can maybe keep imprisoned. What's coming up for some people who harness some shadowy Leo energy that they don't see coming up? The Seven of Swords and the Page of Swords. Why? Because of the Eight of Cups. So the Seven of Swords also is Aquarius energy. The Eight of Cups is Pisces energy. So some people in their shadowy energy, in all three of their air sign energies, in their Libra, their Aquarius, and their Gemini, in their free will, they are more aligned with their more worldly view of life. The Seven of Swords can be, they're caught up in the illusion of the world or themselves, things other than love that they think will make them happy. And that's how they view life. And so they're probably going to keep moving forward, motivated and inspired by that truth, or they still don't want to see the truth, that they're kind of more about indulging their more immature nature. And they don't want to see the truth of it. So because they keep doing that, the people who keep moving forward with them in their life, their friends or family members, they might be people who do indulge them, and they like that. And if other people won't, they don't like that. If they're used to trying to, the Seven of Swords can talk about being manipulative and deceptive, trying to deceive people about the truth. If that's the kind of person, or you know some people who've already been doing that, they're probably going to keep doing that. Trying to confuse people about the truth of who they are and just looking for someone else who doesn't know the truth about who they are to get that person to move forward with them and indulge them until that person figures out the truth. And then it'll be like, oh shit, okay, I need to go find someone else to get in a relationship with. And for some of them, they might be experiencing that with some of the people in their life because they create this illusion that they're this more emotionally stable, grounded, balanced, loving person than they really are. And some of the people in their life, again, whether it's friends or family or brother or sisters, they've been trying to help them work through some ways of living life or viewing life that they feel they would benefit from if they kind of worked through some of those issues, you know? But eventually people kind of see the truth. Again, I can't make people see the truth. I can't make people get out. If they're full of themselves, I can't make them quit being egotistical and self-centered. If they're more bossy and controlling in relationships and they have this illusion about what it means to be in relationships, I cannot make them stop doing that. They have to make that choice. And some people are going to get tired of indulging them, and some of those people are going to walk away. And when some of those people are like, and they'll be like, oh, well, now I'll maybe try to do more equal give and take with you and hope that you'll let me keep moving forward with you. And some of those people are like, I'm done. How long has this been going on? And maybe that's what some people say all the time. Oh, enough got to be too much. Okay, I got to quit indulging in whatever way of being that I'm being. I better do more equal give and take with them. And some of the people in their life will say, well, okay, let's keep going. And there's going to be some other people in their life that are like, no, I'm done. I see the truth. The difference between the Seven of Swords and the One Sword is the Six of Swords. Moving forward to bring a dream into reality. And some people are like, I see that your truth is different than my truth. I can't bring a dream into reality and move forward with you unless your truth is the same as my truth. And I'm no longer in illusion. The Eight of Cups walks away from the Seven of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. You have showed me time after time after time that you really maybe don't do deep, meaningful relationships. That you are more about yourself or these things of the world. Nothing has changed, but I changed. And I've healed from the Five of Swords down to the One Sword. And I don't want to heal this relationship anymore. And some of those people have gotten out of their ego about it, their inner conflict about it, inspired to stand up for themselves. I'm going to quit being up in my head. And I'm going to become independent of them. And they're probably going to go do what they do with someone else. And I've kind of reconciled myself to that. I've been there, done it long enough. I don't want to be there and do it anymore. And I'm cutting out the people in my life that at one time I could have wanted to keep investing in, be loving and nurturing to a certain degree. But, if they're not in turn being loving and nurturing to themselves, they got to learn how to love and nurture themselves. I have other things too that I want to accomplish in my life, because sometimes it is people in our life who are just want us to keep playing a certain role in their life. you need to start playing that role within your own life. Can I still be a loving, encouraging person in your life? Yeah. If you're a friend or family member, if it's a romantic interest, no, because I see the truth of what you're motivated by in your, and I view the Queen of Pentacles as Taurus energy. You're more about yourself or these things of the world or indulging yourself. And that's your truth, and that's not my truth. And though I have mental conflict about it, you seem to have mental conflict about doing a deep, meaningful relationship or a balanced relationship where you really act with character and integrity. And I have accepted the truth of that, and I've reconciled myself with the truth of it. I wish you peace. I'm going to go find people who are more on the same page as me. And so then some of the shadowy people that did have some people leave their life, the people in their life that are still willing to move forward with them for their own reasons, those people will probably keep moving forward with them. And if those people aren't, and that's a significant person in their life, well, they're still defensive to being illuminated to the truth, and they'll go look back to see who else can I go manipulate. Who else will indulge me in my ego or my immature nature? And they'll keep doing that over and over and over until they're willing to grow up or something, or and some people don't want to do love. They want to be in a more transactional relationship, that shadowy Taurus energy. Let's just be in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship. You want to be in a relationship. We get along well enough. It looks good. Victoria's successful. That's good. And if both people really don't want to do love, and they both like to live more from their mind than their heart, and they're both kind of more defensive to kind of doing more equal give and take in a relationship because they're both kind of tipped out of balance in some way, well, that's for them to fight out, but it would be a just and fair relationship for them. Two people who kind of don't want to see the truth, that they might be kind of immature, might indulge themselves, kind of think other people should indulge them, or just more motivated and inspired by indulgence or ego or image. And they'll think they're living the dream. Other people might have conflict of hanging out with them or being their friends because it's like, oh my gosh, you people are so full of yourself, or you are superficial and shallow, or you are immature. And some other people are like, let's go hang out with some different people, and they can find some people who live life the way they do and can go hang out with them. So there you go, Leo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.